In the quiet Midwestern town of Maplewood, the days moved slowly, with neighbors greeting one another on porches and children racing their bikes through cracked sidewalks. Among those children was Lily Carter, or rather, among them she was not. At just 8 years old, Lily had never spoken a word in her life. Doctors said her vocal cords were fine, but her voice simply never came. To most, she was the silent little girl with big brown eyes who always sat on the curb, watching. To her mother, Anna, she was everything, a reason to work, fight, and endure. Anna Carter was only 32, but the long hours of waitressing at the local diner had carved exhaustion into her face. Ever since her husband walked out when Lily was a toddler, she had been both mother and father. She worked 2 jobs to keep the rent paid and the fridge filled, but luxuries were far beyond their reach. Lily never asked for toys or bikes like the other kids, but Anna could see the ache in her daughter's eyes when she watched from the sidelines as others laughed and played. It broke Anna's heart daily. Across the street lived Jack Turner, a retired mechanic known by everyone in town. At 67, Jack had seen his share of hard roads. His hair had turned gray, his hands were calloused, and his knees ached from years of bending over cars in his shop. Despite his gruff tone, Jack had a heart that softened for kids. In the evenings, he often tinkered in his garage, repairing bicycles or lawnmowers for the neighborhood. And every so often, he would glance up to see Lily quietly perched at the end of his driveway, her wide eyes fixed on his work. At first, Jack thought little of it, assuming she was just a shy child. But over time, he realized she was always there, silent but present, her attention unwavering. One afternoon, wiping the grease from his hands, Jack finally asked Anna why Lily never joined the other kids riding bikes. Anna, tired from her double shift, gave a small, sad smile. "We just can't afford it, Jack. Between bills and food, a bike isn't something I can give her." Jack didn't press further, but that night, her words followed him long after the town had gone quiet. Lying awake in bed, Jack thought of his own childhood, growing up poor but always finding freedom in the simplest things. He remembered the thrill of riding his first bicycle, how it had made the world feel bigger, brighter, more possible. Thinking of Lily, sitting silently as life passed her by, tugged at something deep inside him. She didn't need a fancy gift or money. What she needed was a chance to feel that same freedom, to laugh, to belong. And with that thought, Jack knew what he had to do. The very next morning, as sunlight poured into his dusty garage, Jack rolled up his sleeves and began his project. He pulled out old wheels, salvaged pedals, and scraps of steel he had saved over the years. Neighbors heard the clinking of tools and the hum of welding for days. What they didn't know was that Jack was building more than just a tricycle. Piece by piece, he was building something that could change a little girl's world, a gift of movement, joy, and maybe even a miracle. The day Jack finished the tricycle, the autumn air was crisp, and golden leaves blew down Maplewood's quiet street. He wheeled the creation out of his garage, the sun glinting off the freshly painted red frame. It wasn't just a simple Tricycle, it was sturdier, with wide back wheels and handlebars carefully fitted for Lily's small hands. When Anna stepped outside and saw Jack pushing it across the street, her eyes widened. "Jack, a broken bar you didn't," she whispered. But Jack only gave a modest shrug. "Every kid deserves a ride," he muttered, his voice gruff, though his eyes betrayed a kindness. Lily stood frozen on the porch, her big brown eyes locked on the tricycle. She clutched her mother's hand tightly, uncertain whether to move closer. Anna knelt down and whispered, "It's for you, sweetheart. Mr. Jack built it just for you." Slowly, Lily stepped forward, her lips parted slightly as if to form words, though no sound came. Her tiny fingers brushed the handlebars, tracing the cool metal. For a long moment, she simply stood there, her silence carrying the weight of disbelief and hope. Then, with a shaky breath, she climbed onto the seat. The first push was awkward, the pedals stiff under her feet. But Jack steadied the trike, giving it a gentle nudge. "There you go, kiddo. Just keep pedaling." The wheels turned, wobbly at first, then smoother as Lily found her rhythm. Her hair flew behind her as she circled the driveway. For the first time, she wasn't just sitting and watching as she was part of the world in motion. Neighbors began to gather, drawn by the sight of the quiet girl riding down the street, their eyes widening at the joy glowing on her face. Anna covered her mouth, tears spilling as she watched her daughter circle again and again, each pedal stronger than the last. Jack leaned against the fence, pretending to be casual, though his throat tightened. Then, something extraordinary happened. As Lily slowed near the crowd of neighbors, a sound broke free, a small, breathy laugh. At first, it was faint, but then it grew, bubbling into a clear, joyous giggle. It rang through the street like music, stopping everyone in their tracks. For a girl who had never spoken, the laugh was a miracle. The neighbors clapped, some wiping tears, as Lily rode past them, her laughter echoing like bells on a Sunday morning. Children who once sped past her now cheered her on, and adults exchanged looks of awe. For years, the girl had been a quiet shadow in their town, but now she was light itself. Anna sank to her knees, overwhelmed, while Jack turned his face away, blinking hard against the emotion welling up. It wasn't just a tricycle anymore, it was a bridge between silence and sound, isolation and belonging. That evening, as the sun dipped low and the last of the neighbors drifted home, Lily wheeled her tricycle back up the driveway. She climbed off, her eyes shining as she wrapped her arms tightly around Jack's waist. The old mechanic froze, then gently patted her head, his gruff exterior cracking with a smile. "You're welcome, kiddo," he whispered. Anna stood behind them, her heart full. That day, money, status, or words hadn't been the miracle, it had been compassion. And in that small town, everyone knew they had witnessed something unforgettable, a laugh that changed everything.